and do it seriously. Here's the conclusion of the matter. As one who's going to be judged by the law of liberty. What does he mean by this? I thought we weren't going to be judged by the law. I thought we were saved by grace. Well, hold on a moment. Pay careful attention to how he says it. He says it's the law of liberty. What law does James say we will be judged by? Not the law of Moses, not by the moral law of God, but by the law of liberty. Another word for that is freedom. You see, James is making a contrast here between the law of Moses, which he mentioned earlier in the text in chapter 2, and the law by which Christ gives us, which is totally opposite. It's sort of a literary technique. He's saying, look, there's the law of Moses, but here's the law of Christ. And what is the law of Christ? It is the gospel of grace. And so what's the point? We are to speak and act with impartiality. And when we do, we will be commended for the grace we exemplify when we do that. The law of liberty and grace will not condemn us, but will set us free. That's why it's liberty, right? Kurt Richardson, another commentator, puts it this way, and I like how he summarizes it. He says, the law of freedom does not condemn, but sets free. This law sets free those who heed it, when they in turn set free those who are oppressed by the world. Believers heed this law of freedom through including the poor and unfortunate as full members of the Church of Christ. When this conclusive fellowship is the pattern of faith practiced by believers, God will use this liberating law as the standard to judge them in the sense that he will approve and commend them. And we know that this is what James means because the second thing he tells us in verse 13 as he concludes this is that mercy triumphs over judgment. Another way to sort of think about this is that our application of impartiality, showing grace and love and mercy to others, trumps the judgment of favoritism. That's the idea. Look what he says in verse 13. For judgment will be merciless to the one who has shown no mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment. Remember Jesus, this is what he taught us. Matthew 5:7, the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Praise God. Man, that's awesome. In Luke 6:36, he taught this. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. And then, when he had a sort of quarrel with the Pharisees and other religious leaders of the time, they were being legalistic, and he said this to them in Matthew 9:13, but go and learn what this means. I desire compassion and not sacrifice, for I did not come to call the righteous, but the sinners. That word there, I desire compassion, that word compassion is the exact same word in James that we've rendered, guess what? Mercy. In other words, God always desires grace and mercy over someone over following the law and being legalistic. Here's James's point. If we are not merciful to the poor and those viewed as outcasts in the world, then God will not be merciful to us because, what did he say? Judgment will be merciless because we didn't show mercy. Very similar to forgiveness, right? Remember Jesus, what he said in Matthew 6:15? But if you do not forgive others, then your Father will not what? Forgive your transgressions. It's the same idea. It echoes James, doesn't it? If you are not merciful, that is, if you are not impartial, if you judge people based upon their external situations, looks, whatever the case may be, you're not going to receive mercy. This is a tough teaching, isn't it?